Okay, so I'm just back in Insight now, and I've got the New Cars of America 93 data set here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the weight and engine size plot, which was the very first one that we saw in our TARSOG analysis. Wheelbase should be weight, and engine size was in litres, on there. And so we see there, that's the plot that we remember seeing. Now down here I'm going to go add to plot, and I'm going to add a trend curve, not an x equals y line, a trend curve, and it can be a blue linear line, and it's on there for us. What I also need now is the equation for that straight line. It's try to do a regression and fit most of the points in the graph. It's not perfect, but if I go down here to, I'll just close that one for a sec, and if I go get summary, it should give me the equation of that line. So here it is here, summary of weight versus engine size. This here is the equation. Weight in kg is 812.3. That's where it cuts here. That's the C, the constant, it's first here, plus 218 kilograms times for every litre of engine size. So that's our equation. So what I could do is drag that there, copy it, and put it in my editing document along with that graph. So I've got the line there, and I can grab the equation. What I'm going to do, however, is I'm going to go into variables. No, I'm going to add to plot. I have a feeling there's different car types here, and I've also got open my variable list where it describes the scales that are used for some of these category scales, and also the meaning of the variables as well. So I always keep this handy, and I've decided that this manual transmission thing looked interesting to me. There's two groups. Okay, so manual transmission looks interesting to me because it either comes in manual transition, that's where you change the stick shift, or it don't. I guess if it don't, it's automatic. So I'm kind of interested in seeing if that variable is amongst these cars. It's kind of a basic. So what I'm going to do is in variables, no, in plot, I'm going to add to plot this thing here, manual transmission is available. And what it's actually done is the yellow is no and the red is yes. So actually all these values here in the lower part of the graph that seem to follow their own straight steeper line upwards are a different group to these ones here, which are also higher engine and higher weight. So we already have refinement on this model. I'm going to remove the additions. I wanted to actually remove that line. I'll just leave it at that. And so what I'm going to do now is in my third variable here, I'm going to add this manual transmission variable. And it's not a third variable as such, but it's cut the data up into two groups. So over here I've got my 0, no manual transmission, so they must be automatics, and here I've got my manual transmission. And I can see that this line of best fit, which is a completely different model to this one, fits its respective points better here and this one here. So suddenly I've got an improvement just by breaking the data into two groups. So if I get summary now, I'm going to get two equations, and I'll just make this little window bigger so we can see it. And here I've got a linear trend for fuel transmission is 0, and in this little heading here for fuel transmission is 1. So I'm just going to copy actually the whole lot. I'm going to use Word for now. Just grab a blank document, copy the formula in, and head back to my insight. This one here. Just close that down for now. I'm going to right click and copy it. Just going to try this and right click and paste. It didn't work the way I wanted it to, so I'm going to use my snipping tool instead. which is like a screen capture, and I'm just going to capture that entire graph, including the titles and including that little key there, and right click, copy that, head back to my report, which is going to become my report, and pop it on in there. So for the manual transmission, I have a model. So the weight, I can expect it to be 1114 is the constant, plus 1413 times the engine size. And for the non-manual, which I'm assuming must be automatics, the weight formula comes from this one down here. It's a completely different formula, and that equals 757, I think it is. I'm going to go 758, just sensibly rounding. And the main reason for that is the intercept could be a little bit lower. We're just being too fussy with it because it's not fitting perfectly anyway. So if I put it lower and round the steepness up, round the gradient part up, which is this next bit, plus 236. Can't round it up, but that's okay. 236 times the engine size. So I can make my predictions using those two different equations now, and we'll see more how that's done, but I just wanted to show you that feature on Inzight and using it as well. I'm just going to remove all the additions. I'm going to try to remove additions, so I'm just going to remove them all for now and just close that down. And I had my weight here, my engine size was my second variable. I have got my colours, but that's okay. I haven't got it in the third variable, and I'm going to add to plot. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to code. I want a trend curve, which I want it to be linear. And I'm going to close that down now, and then I'm going to get summary, and I'm actually going to grab this info, copy it, take it back to my graph, insert a page break there. So the first model is my generic model. New snip. Now I'm new. Okay, just making sure the right window is open. I'm just going to get the big model with the averagey line through it. Copy it, Control C or right click or however you do it. And that's my first one. Once I've discussed it and done some predictions with it, I'll move on and use the other model to look at a line of best fit that fits most of those data points more readily. So I've broken it into two. I've got one through the red and one through the yellow. I'll leave it at that.